A special reenactment lit up the skies over Lake Champlain recently as Fort Ticonderoga brought to life the story of one of the major battles when the British drove out the French and took control of the fort in 1759. Our Jack LaDuke was there for the reenactment of one of the major battles in the European struggle to control North America.
It was a war between the French and English in 1759 on ground that is today part of Essex County. Night and day, French troops continuously fired on the approaching British soldiers as the roar of the mighty cannons echoed throughout the valley.
So this event, 1759 siege, only seemed appropriate for this year where we're interpreting the French fort, which then is abandoned and the British take the second part of the year of 1759. So almost to the day, we're recreating this battle, and it's the first time ever, so it's really exciting.
Days before the English attacked, every civilian in the fort was given a task to carry out, including the wives of soldiers. Many of the women filled sandbags.
And there's really a wide range of different people who are doing those jobs. So whether you have people like us who are French women with the army and their families, whether it's the soldiers themselves doing some of this work, and definitely trying to be as portable and self-sufficient as the army can be.
The soldiers had a more strenuous job of getting the 1,750-pound artillery cannon in place for the battle. They used heavy ropes and pulleys. This cannon weighs almost as much as today's mid-size car.
We were hauling our reproduction of a French 4-pounder cannon up the ramp. These ramps that were here at Fort Carillon, they were for moving cannons up into the various positions around the fort. And we were lifting up from the parade level up to the terraplane level, and now we're installing a battery to fire from.
Once in place, a cheer for their work. Translation, long live the king. The French fired upon the British for 3 days and 3 nights before they surrendered and the British took the fort over. But before the French left, they blew it up, not leaving one stone upon the others, whereupon the British rebuilt the fort and renamed it.
So the French mainly fire solid shot, like a piece like this. They range in poundage from 4-pound cannonballs all the way up to 12 and 18-pound cannonballs. They are French also, and I think more interestingly, fire bombs from mortars. So these are hollow iron cylinders with fuses in them that are timed to fly down towards the enemy and detonate. While the British forces try to dig in and establish their own artillery, the French are lobbing hundreds and hundreds of shots.
The French and English reenactors faced off in the nearby forest as the British soldiers pushed forward and the French retreated. Despite the battle raging, food must be prepared for the hungry fighting men.
Here we have a model of an 18th century camp kitchen. So this camp kitchen is pretty typical of what would have been built along a company street, so a row of men. In the French army, a company of men being about 50 soldiers or so. Today, I'm cooking for the garrison here. Again,
What are you cooking?
So we're cooking some beef stew. So we've got some greens from our garden, some cucumbers, some kale, some cabbage, all things we know that were grown here at Carillon in 1759 when the French were occupying the fort. And the fresh beef is not actually typical of what French soldiers would have been eating here in 1759. But in late July of 1759, as Jeffrey Amherst's army was closing in on the fort, they actually went ahead and slaughtered their entire herd of cattle that they were keeping here to prevent it from falling into English hands.
Today, Fort Ticonderoga stages a number of events like this throughout the year. It helps the local economy.
Our economic impact on the region is over $12 million annually, and we do many events throughout the year, and events do drive increased attendance. Equally, or I would say maybe even more important, is how it serves our mission, our mission of preservation and education. And the more people that we drive here to Fort Ticonderoga, the more we can expand our audiences and engage people in understanding our history, the process of studying and understanding history, and how we translate that into the experiences for our visitors, and hopefully build excitement and momentum and encourage people to come back.
For Mountain Lake Journal, I'm Jack LaDuke at Fort Ticonderoga.
Jack LaDuke's Adirondack Journal on Mountain Lake PBS is made possible with support by Northline Utilities.